Hey, what's up everybody? Video 44 coming at you with another video. Alright, so it is the night before the big day. Everybody's anticipating LeBron's decision to sign the extension with the Los Angeles Lakers. I am now informed it is a 2-year deal. Maybe that was common knowledge for everyone else, but for myself, I'm late. I thought the extension could be anywhere from 2 to whatever, but it is in fact 2. So, Cleveland. It's been reported that Cleveland did not necessarily want LeBron to come back unless he was willing to allow them to keep the core and basically everything they have. In other words, he could sign there outright, but I don't think they want to make a trade to acquire him because they know the Lakers are going to want. We're going to want everything. Garland, Mobley, we're going to want it all. So I don't think that would be something that the Cleveland Cavaliers would be willing to do, but according to Ticket TV, and y'all know I follow Ticket like a hawk. So according to what he's saying, there's pressure in terms of the community, business, and people who are, who've had the fluctuation over the past 15 years of have LeBron come into their organization, leave, come back and leave, and they know what the numbers look like in both circumstances. So while the team may not want to manage LeBron James, the city is saying, nah, Cleveland, no. We want that revenue for our community. We want Braun back if he's willing to come back to us. Don't let your plans get in the way of what this could mean for us. So it's a really tricky situation there. And we've talked about it, that's why I think LeBron James is worth so much to the Los Angeles Lakers. Because there's that dynamic that's way beyond basketball, which is why I said I would never trade LeBron James for Kevin Durant in 4 years, even if LeBron James is expiring, because of that dynamic. With all due respect to Kevin Durant, I don't know that he moves the needle in that way. I'm not certain that he does at all. I don't know that. He may. The numbers haven't been something that I've seen, but when listening to what has been spoken of about in regards to LeBron James, this is something I've been hearing my whole life, basically, that this guy brings significant money to Cleveland when he plays for the Cavaliers, to surrounding mom and pop businesses, to just about every type of business in Cleveland. When the Cavs have Braun, everybody's doing well. So, and when he leaves, it's a pain, Now, having a good, winning Cleveland Cavaliers team is definitely something that the community would want. A long-term situation where they can have sustainability and winning. Listen, winning is important to everyone. The problem is, just like for basketball players, the same kind of goes for owners. They too have to choose either the business of basketball or, foregoing enough money to keep yourself competitive with those who are paying the luxury tax. It's the same, and when you look at both sides and you kind of ignore certain aspects of the situation, you can clearly see where the presence of the need for both players and ownership to invest in order for success to take place is there. It's there. Both sides have to choose between saving money and winning basketball games. And so this is where you can see the ownership side of it, to where they're saying, flexibility matters to us. Being able to keep a sustainable winning team matters to us. And we think we can have that without LeBron James, with this young core. Now, that's risky because, for one, you got to pay everybody. And you already have Jared Allen on tab at $100 million. And, of course, Darius Garland just got his rookie extension at 153 or something like that. That could jump probably like 200. And I'm just going off the top of my head, but I'm not certain the numbers on that at all. But the point is, he signed a big deal. So that's 2 max right there. How many do you get? Well, the max you can do is 3 if you're doing it a certain way. Now, they have the bird rights to all their players, so they probably can do a lot more than most, because in most cases, the 3 max limit is usually because you don't have the bird rights of all 3 of them. You could pull a Golden State in Cleveland as to where most of these players are all theirs. They can keep all of them and bring in a KD type player. So Cleveland's in a much more advantageous position than most in that regard. Thing is, with flexibility and a nice young core and even a team that can do a lot for you, do you still garner the type of attention and revenue that ultimately a LeBron James can do for you? Even in a short-term amount of time, does it actually add up to what you think potentially could come down the road over the next, say, 4 years, 5 years, if you want to project forward? And I don't know the answer to that, but it's arguable. It's probably arguable in terms of what they're expecting if Bron were to come back. So if I look at it that way, I don't blame the city of Cleveland. Obviously, it's their home guy, and, it would be a good story for him to go back to Cleveland if they could somehow get Bronny on the Cavs. That's how it would be the best way forward. But here's the thing, man. That's a really nice story, Cleveland, but he's already come back and gotten you a championship. And if he goes back and doesn't get you one, I don't know how that affects his legacy, depending on how that series goes. Depending on how that session of time goes, if the Cleveland Cavaliers deplete themselves, if they don't want to do, in order for him to be a part of their team, then it's going to be hard for them to win that championship in a very, very strong Eastern Conference. And we're still, and I don't want to overrate the player, but I have to admit that my expectations for this player is this high. We still don't know where Victor's going to land. For all I know, he can land in the Eastern Conference on a team that he's not supposed to be on, like Charlotte or something. And if that's the case, Bron would be dealing with yet another contender, in my opinion, depending how quick that kid takes to what his role is going to be. So maybe I'm overrating him, but he is that physically imposing, just to the eye. He is. If you just see what I'm talking about, he's bigger than everybody, and he's moving faster than everybody, so he should be able to affect things more so than pretty much anybody not named Giannis. So that's one of those situations where it's like, all right, you got another one of those superhumans coming in. If he goes to the wrong spot, you're dealing with a contender there. So LeBron James, I think, in my opinion, probably is looking at the situation saying, I'd like to be in LA until my kid gets into the league, and then from there try to manage my way to where he's going to be, but most importantly to try to manage to get him to the Lakers. If anybody want to know what I think is really going on here, I think the Lakers are trying to find a way to get those kids here, both of them. I think that process began yesterday when those kids came into that Laker organization building and shot around, and we got a chance to see them under the bright lights. Trust and believe. I know my organization. We have plans of bringing both of them to the Lakers at some point in time in their careers. Doesn't have to be anytime soon. Doesn't have to be on draft night. I'm telling you, both James kids will probably put on purple and gold before it's over. Mark my words. Keep this here. Before they retire, they'll be Lakers. Because this is a real family-oriented place, and we're already letting them know that they're family. That's how we operate. We're doing the same thing with Pippen. We're doing the same thing with O'Neal. We've done the same thing with a lot of these young players who've come through the league. And I don't think a lot of the guys, a lot of those kids that we drafted that are not Lakers right now, I don't think we've seen the last of a lot of those guys. Some of them didn't end on good terms. B.I., I'd be surprised to see come back. I don't think he ended on good terms. Kuzma, I'm pretty sure, would not like to be a Laker again. But players like Clarkson, I wouldn't be surprised to see him return. Nance, somebody like that. I would not be surprised to see these guys return to the Lakers at some point. D'Angelo Russell, I could totally see him coming back, putting on purple and gold before it's over. It's just something about the Lakers that they bring players back. Julius Randle, we're already talking about bringing him back. Like, this is a place where people come back around. Once you're a Laker, especially if you're drafted here, you feel like you're part of this thing forever. And so I think that process began. I think we put that seed in those kids' mind in a way, and in LeBron's mind, is to say, you don't have to leave here to have your dream come true in regards to what it is you're trying to do. We're going to try to make it so that we put ourselves in the best position to be able to acquire those kids if possible. And so I think the Lakers are going to do that. Now, I don't know how they're going to do that. But I think it's going to be a situation where we're going to have, obviously, and I hate to be that guy, but the sway and the help of Clutch is going to try to leverage us LeBron's will if for some reason he's a part of our organization at that time. A lot of people are saying he's going to go to where his kid is. Nah. That's LeBron James. He's going to bring his kid to him. That's what is happening here. So if anybody wants to know what my theory is, LeBron ain't thinking about having his kid play for no other team than the Los Angeles Lakers. That's where he wants his kid. And I think that's where we're ultimately going to have. So if I'm wrong, it's a lot of different things that have to happen, and it depends on Bronny's success particularly, because if he's a top lottery pick, then obviously this is out. We're not talking about the same stuff no more. If he plays himself into a certain range. But if he's a second round guy or a back of the draft guy, a back of the first round guy, which I suspect he may actually be, yeah, the Lakers are going to try to acquire him at all costs, and the other teams, in my opinion, are probably going to know to back off. That's what I think is going to end up happening. That's what I see coming. And so a lot of people are just, I don't know. I just kind of get an understanding of how things go. When this person is powerful and they move how they want to move and things go how they want to go, if they have any sway in the situation, they don't want to leave where they're at to get things done. They want those things brought to them, man. That's part of being a billionaire. I'm not going to that. I want that to come to me. And that's his child. So he's going to want that child and where he's at. That's not going to be a situation where he wants to leave that place. Unless, again, as I said in the last video, we ruin the place and he don't want to be here himself. But otherwise, it's not like he's going to leave a situation that he's been in for 7 years, because at that point it would be 7 years, and then go to some random team just because his kid got drafted there. Because that team, even though they would never dare, but in theory would have every right to just trade the kid after that. We got Bron, what do we need him for? That kind of thing is possible. And that's something LeBron is going to want to guard against. That's something he's going to want to guard against, and that's something he's already thinking about, amongst probably other things as well. So I would want my kid brought to me. And I would also want this place to have flexibility at that time. So I just, Bron is a mastermind, man. At the end of the day, he's made some mistakes with this roster, but he's ultimately he's a mastermind, and so is his team. They're very, very smart. So they're going to find a way to make it so that they have what it is that they want to take place happen. Wherever Bronny is going to land, it's going to be strategic. He's not just going to pop up in some spot. I'm telling you guys that right now. My theory about him getting to the Lakers, a lot of stuff had to fall into place. But I'm telling you this, he ain't going to just pop up and just land at your random spot. Nope. Where Bronny's going is probably already being dreamt up, I guess is the best way of putting it. So, my theory's LA with the Lakers. Right here with us. So, we'll see. We'll see, man. We'll see. I know it's a long shot for everything to fall into place for Bron to be able to play with his kid. But at this point, I think it's looking reasonable that Bronny will make the NBA. I think it's reasonable. And of course, we see Bryce. He's a little ways out, but it's obvious that dude is a problem. I mean, he's a problem. It's like clearly sees 6'2". He's only 14, something like that. If he's even 15, I don't know. But he's scary. Yeah, he's totally scary. I think that kid could actually be a bigger person than LeBron James. Literally, he could be a 7-footer, 7'1". It's very possible Bryce could be a center. So, when you consider the skills that kid is already putting together, yeah, he's got touch and stuff like that. The athleticism's already there. Yeah. I don't know how easy it'll be to get him without a lottery pick. Put it like that. You're going to need, it's going to be a little different. I think it's going to be a little different there. But nevertheless, both of those kids, I'm sure, will be there. I'm sure of that. But, yeah, man, that's my thought. That is what I'm thinking. I'm just very curious to see how LeBron's going to play it tomorrow, because all things are pointing in the direction of him being happy with the Lakers right now, as I said last night. Doesn't mean he's going to sign, though. Doesn't mean it's even within his best interest in terms of strategy to sign necessarily. Maybe he can get a better deal. Maybe he can flexibly make it so that the team is more flexible by restructuring at a different price later on. Because that's the type of thing I think would make it so that it would be a more flexible place for him. if he were to leave something on the table for that investment. Now, I'm not suggesting such. I don't know that he believes in that sort of thing. But based on the kind of thinking that I've been doing over the last 5 minutes or so, yeah, that's something I would kind of put on the table if I was in this circle. But like, you know what? If you really do want your kids to play there, investing in the flexibility of the franchise now may actually be a decent thing to do for your kids, depending on if you're looking at it that way. And that's a heck of a lot of things to just assume are going to happen. So, nevertheless, just to throw it out there, I think flexibility is good for the Lakers, and if he's a part of the Lakers, it's good for him. So, yeah, that's how I look at that. At any rate, you know, he's in a position tomorrow to break the record for the most money made by any single NBA player in their career. So congratulations to LeBron James if he chooses to sign that extension. If not, I'm sure we'll congratulate him very soon when he signs whatever deal he signs next, because he's definitely going to get that record. So that's a testament to him being just one of the greatest players to ever play the game. I mean, period. It's not like we're sitting here saying he took money. Oh, no. That man right there could have gotten more. And I'm saying that very modestly, and I think most people agree. So we appreciate his effort, you know what I mean? I speak for myself, but I think I speak for a lot of people who enjoy the sport. Appreciate his effort, appreciate the fact that he continues to put forth an image that is humble, and my hope is that his time with the Lakers hasn't been all bad. You know what I mean? Obviously, we've had some horrible times, and a lot of his things that we should be able to celebrate as a team we just haven't been able to celebrate. You know, that 2020 championship, it was one of the most meaningful championships ever for a plethora of reasons. But to say we actually celebrated it, I don't know that you can celebrate that championship. Do you know what I mean? Not when you consider what the year was about, not when you consider who we had lost, and what that championship meant to us in regards to solidifying a tribute to the lost. And at that point, you just understood that you couldn't have the parade because of the pandemic. The bubble made it so that the guys were being looked at with an asterisk attached to it on top of everything else. Guys had to make the sacrifices necessary to stay in that bubble, which is something I won't soon forget. Type of mentality that it took to get through those 4 months or however long it was, especially for people who are privileged, rich people, and have to sit in situations that are humble, you know what I mean, and be away from their family and the luxuries of life so that they can complete the goal of winning. And so that showed me the commitment that he has to the sport, as well as the rest of those men on those teams. And that's why I wanted to see the Lakers respect him in a way that allows him the opportunity to feel free to come and go as he pleases, with the respect that it's likely he would choose to stay. You know, likely. But that's not how business works. Business doesn't necessarily work with people having faith. Because if you're hanging checks and balances on faith, a lot of times you're going to be in the L's. You're going to be in the red. So you're not going to have 100% guarantees in those situations. And a lot of times in business, it's necessary. You do have 100% guarantees. So I understand how things may go tomorrow if people aren't aligned on the same page. But I think people are on the same page at this point. I think mostly everyone who needs to be on the same page is on the same page. I think people have learned some things over the last several weeks, and I'd imagine things have changed a little bit in terms of what people believe they need to do in order to move forward in the NBA. It's not as simple as, I don't want to be here, I want to leave. Now it's, can we strategically move? And that's not just the Lakers, that's not just the Nets, that's everybody in the NBA. Can we strategically move? You know what I mean? And I hate to liken it to something so morbid, but when you have to relearn how to walk, you know, it's not as simple as just moving your muscles. Now you have to really put in so much intent and effort just to move. That's kind of what this situation is like for the NBA. You really cannot move without extreme amounts of intent. And that means it's going to cost a lot. That's exactly what that means. So, yeah, for everybody, I think it's at a point where it's like, all right, whatever our grievances were, whatever it is that we couldn't have get along in regards to, the moves that we may not agreed upon may not even be possible anymore. That's the situation. It's like, okay, we didn't necessarily come to any conclusion that we agreed upon, but nothing that we were trying to do is even possible anymore. But a few other things that maybe we do agree on are now possible because of the new landscape. So I think that kind of thing is just natural in this type of space. And I think the Lakers may be functioning some kind of way behind the scenes that way. Because it's easy to get along when you don't have a whole lot of choices. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, we got about 100 people who need to agree upon 100 things in possible situation. 100 people need to agree upon 3 things? We might get somewhere. And that's kind of what they're dealing with right now. So, can we win without Kyrie Irving? Hell no. Everybody agrees on that. We got to get him. I think that's where we're at. It's that simple. You know? Does it make sense to give away pieces that we need for the Buddy Hield trade? No. Why? Because Indy wants that second pick. No, we can't give him that. We only have 2 picks to offer. We can't give him that second one. And so that's out. That's out. Even though we would probably do the move just to complete our team if for some reason things come in completely south. But I don't think things go completely south. And so, all of this rambling I'm doing essentially says that I feel very good about tomorrow. I feel very good about LeBron James feeling comfortable about the Los Angeles Lakers. It's just the way he's moving. He's did the Drew League, and in the process, obviously, to bring his kids into the organization, and into some of the stuff that he's posting, it's letting me understand that he's ready to start the season with the Lakers. Now, what happens after that? Everything changes as things go along, as we know. But for right now, I think everybody's pretty much ready to just move forward with whatever we have, with the intent, absolute intent, in making changes as the season progresses. You may see multiple trades throughout the season. Multiple trades. Because there's a lot of stuff that would have been done now that's going to be able to be done later as the season progresses or starts. And then some of that stuff may not be very cohesive just yet and will need to be retooled from there. So you might see another move at the trade deadline, that type of thing, if the waters open up. Because if they don't, you won't see any moves and everybody will be running around like chickens with their heads cut off, and you might see a very strange NBA Finals because of it. Like a very strange NBA Finals. So, I don't know. That's worst case scenario. I actually think everything is going to be fine. I think teams are going to make moves. It's just about when and who is going to make that first move. So, we'll keep our eyes open. LeBron James, hopefully he chooses us either way, whether the extension signed or not. I know Laker Nation is excited about the decision, and so we'll await it. Of course, I'll get back to you guys on it. And like I said, if he doesn't sign it, I'm going to be completely fine, because I think that that's a strategic move that doesn't necessarily speak to whether or not he wants to move forward with the Lakers. And I hope that if, in fact, that takes place, the front office sees it the same way and keeps on moving according to as they were intent on moving, because faith in this situation was applied first by LeBron James. So I would imagine he would want us to extend it on the back tail end. So that's how I'm looking at the situation. Hope I'm right. That's what I got to say, man. My name is BDL44. I thank you all for watching. I'm out.